Good morning on this brisk, wintry day. Welcome to UUCW here in Brookfield, Wisconsin. We gather today as a joyful community committed to spiritual growth, inclusion, and justice. Our congregation also extends beyond these walls to those who are joining us virtually from their homes and other places. Welcome to you as well. My name is Mark Steinberg, and I serve our congregation as one of your Board of Trustee members. Through our UU values and principles, our community of spiritual seekers is called to take action by our commitment to justice, equity, and right relations, united in covenant and the spirit of love. We are grateful for the privilege of living and gathering on traditional territory of a number of Native American nations who have cared for this land for millennia. Much of the history of this land and its people has been erased or ignored. As settlers and newcomers, we are beholden to learn that history and engage in the work of reconciliation and reparations. Please also see my message in last Thursday's e-news for additional thoughts on putting our social justice values in this area into practice. As a welcoming congregation to gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual, and queer plus peoples, we continue to address ongoing homophobia, violence, and unfair legislation targeting them. As an anti-racist faith community, we also acknowledge that racism throughout our society continues to lead to the violent deaths and oppression of Jews, Black and Indigenous peoples, and other people of color. Let us engage in the struggle to dismantle white supremacy culture and other exclusionary practices that perpetuate inequalities, injustices, and poverty in our community and in our world. We are a community of communities. Wherever you are, whoever you are, whatever your age, the color of your skin, your gender identity, and chosen beliefs, even if none at all, you are welcome here. Whomever you love, and however you define family, you are welcome here. Whatever the cultures of your ancestors, the language your grandparents spoke, the abilities or disabilities you hold, you are welcome here. Welcome also to our newcomers and visitors. We hope you have picked up a flyer on your way in to learn about what to expect and how to connect here. We'd love to have you fill out the welcome side of the blue sharing slips that were handed out with the hymnals, and hope to see you at the newcomer table in the foyer after the service. Alternatively, you can reach out to us online at visitor@uucw.org. There's time for coffee, tea, and conversation for everyone after the service in the community room. You can gather there or hang out in the sanctuary or library if you wish. Challenge yourself to talk to someone who you have not yet met. Let's build community together. And now, a few housekeeping items. People of all ages are always welcome in our sanctuary. Following today's Story for All Ages, children and youth will depart to their religious education classes. The nursery is open for children up to age 5, and the Young Religious UU group will meet at 11:30 a.m. I also believe they have a bake sale in the community room after service today. There is also a worship exploration table, which I see is pretty busy over there, for those of you who would like to keep your hands busy while listening to the service. The service is also being shown in our community room for anyone needing to step out for any reason. There are many ongoing opportunities to get involved in our church community, a number of which are listed in the announcements accompanying today's order of service. Those of you watching online can find most of these in our weekly e-news edition, on our website at uucw.org. I'll call out several of these now. Our Anti-Racism Transformation Committee is sponsoring a workshop on building a culture of inclusion, scheduled in 3 sessions from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. on March 31st, April 7th, and April 10th. All of these, led by Dr. Paula Cole-Jones, will be presented online via Zoom. Dr. Jones was a member of the UUA Article 2 Commission and has been leading 8th Principle Project work to center anti-racism in UU congregation life for years. Please plan on participating to learn more about putting our UU values of justice, equity, and pluralism into practice. Our annual pledge drive for 2025-26 is getting underway, including a multi-generational dinner event on Saturday, March 1st, beginning here at 5:30 p.m. There will also be entertainment and music. Let's show gratitude for being a part of this community through our generosity to support our church operations. Some of you can also take advantage of age-related federal qualified charitable deductions that allow for tax-free donations directly made from your individual retirement accounts. Nominations are open for the annual Board of Trustees Award for members who exhibit excellence, initiative, and commitment, enhanced congregation life, or who have represented our congregation in the community in a manner producing definable results or outcomes. There is also a long-term service award for an individual who, over a significant period of time, exhibited commitment to a service or project or contributed to multiple activities or projects. Submit your nominee and up to 75 words describing what was done to merit the award to either Kathy White or Barb Holzhauer. Award winners will be selected by the board and announced at our annual meeting in June. The Endowment Fund Committee is accepting grant proposals for projects that align with our mission of spiritual growth, inclusion, and justice. Submit your proposal by March 1st to be considered for the 2025-26 church year. Meet Alma Sophie in the community room after service to learn more. The next meeting of our Board of Trustees will take place on Thursday, February 27th at 7 p.m. You can attend either in person or via Zoom. Finally, special thanks to Kelly Bogner for pivoting to adjust today's order of service after Ruben notified her of his illness on Friday. So she had to scramble, and she worked with Eileen, Gleeson, to make sure that everything runs smoothly today. Also, thanks to Andrew and Jim Fisher for handling the music segments of the service, stepping up in Ruben's absence. With all that shared, let's settle in as we continue today's service with a call to worship by Eileen Gleeson, our worship leader. Thank you.
Okay. Well, as you heard, I am Eileen Gleeson. My pronouns are she and her, and I am a member of the worship ministry team that coordinates services when our minister, the Reverend Jill Braithwaite, is not in the pulpit. And today I welcome as a guest to our pulpit Christine Jacobs. Christine has been a part of the development department at Guest House of Milwaukee since 2021, an organization that we have been involved with for decades. And she currently serves as the Director of Donor and Volunteer Engagement. In this role, she is primarily responsible for overseeing the growth strategy and implementation of the agency's volunteer and shelter meal programs. This is how I know her. She is our contact person for the meals that we provide. She has a background in public relations and community engagement and has been happy in recent years to be able to put those talents to work in the nonprofit sector. I also found out this morning she's a little bit of a cake pop specialist, so you might want to check with her on that. Okay, now let us take a moment to center ourselves for worship with the following words from Heidi Cottam. Let us be a faith that gathers reaching for one another through the walls of hate others build, through the cages of ignorance and arrogance, and through the fear that burns city streets. Let us be a faith that sees a vision of a better world, more compassionate, more just, more holy, and with more love. There is a faith that binds up the broken, cauterizes battle wounds with the balm of peace, sings longer and louder than the trumpets of war. Let us be that faith too. Let us be the ones who do not tread lightly in this world, but light it up with our love, who hold up the mirror of worth and dignity, who are the sanctuary others seek. But first, let us be a faith that worships together here, this morning, in this space, at this moment. Let us be a faith. Now, please rise in body or in spirit to join in singing hymn 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. Hymn 1008.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, when our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place.
Our chalice reading today comes to us from Kikali Bordner. It's entitled, Come, Gather Light to Build. Please read along, and if you are joining us at home, feel free to kindle your chalice or candle. Eileen will light our candle. Come together again, gather in love, light the fire of hope, build the foundation, commit together again, gather in truth, light the fire of freedom, build the entryways, continue together again, gather in community, light the fire of the future, build the shelter.
If you're limber and would like to come up front, sit on the floor here to get a closer look at the pictures for today's story, you may do that. And I'm Dave Cicero. My pronouns are he and him. Director of Lifespan Religious Education here at UUCW. And the book I chose for today tells a story of a young boy whose uncle takes him to the place where he works as a volunteer, the soup kitchen. Not very different from the guest house, where today's guest speaker, Christine, works. Now, soup kitchen is a place where any member of the community can go for a well-balanced meal, and not just soup, for free. People usually go there to eat when, for any number of reasons, they're not able to fix or buy their own meals. So you might wonder a few things about soup kitchens, like who goes there to eat? Why? Who works there? Where does the food come from? These are all good questions, if they're in your mind because you're ready to hear the story. Uncle Willie and the Soup Kitchen, written and illustrated by Diane DeSalvo Ryan, and read today with permission of HarperCollins Publishers. And one reason I picked this particular story, is because how well it matches my own experiences volunteering in different soup kitchens, including the guest house. "Talk to me," says Uncle Willie when he picks me up from school. I go down the steps like a house on fire. "Race you to the corner," I yell without stopping. Uncle Willie pretends to wobble on his string bean legs. He makes me laugh so hard that he gets to the corner before I do. Now, while Mom's at work, Uncle Willie's job is to keep an eye on me. But during the day while I'm at school, my Uncle Willie has another job. He works at the soup kitchen. "We fed a lot of people today," said Uncle Willie. "Spaghetti and meatballs. Good thing the bakery truck stopped by to give us some extra bread." "Well, why do you work there anyway?" I ask, eyeballing Uncle Willie. "Oh, it's important," Uncle Willie tells me. "Sometimes people just need help." Now, way up the block, I can hear the can man's clangety cart, piled high with empty cans he finds in the neighborhood. Whenever I see him, he's pushing his shopping cart in the street. Today he's on the sidewalk, though, moving his cart right toward us. "Let's go," I whisper to Uncle Willie, but I don't think he hears me. "Hey, how's business, Frank?" Uncle Willie hollers. "One more block and I'm done for the day," the can man hollers back. Uncle Willie picks up an empty can and tosses it into the cart. "2 points for the basket," the can man says, then hunches back over his cart to give it the one long push. "Since when do you know that can man?" I ask Uncle Willie. "Oh, since Frank came to eat at the soup kitchen," he says. But why doesn't Frank eat in his own house? Doesn't he have a place to live?" Uncle Willie takes my hand, rocks it high and low. "I never asked Frank where he lived," says Uncle Willie. "In the soup kitchen, you only have to be hungry." When Mom walks me to school the next morning, I see a woman sleeping on the park bench. I feel kind of sad when I see her. Mom says there's a lot of lonely people these days. "And that's why I'm proud of Uncle Willie," she says. "He's doing something to help." But I wonder what it's like to work inside the soup kitchen. I mean, Uncle Willie goes there almost every day, and I never gone to him with him once. "Well, why don't you ask him to take you there next Monday?" says Mom. "Remember, you have a day off from school." I think it's Monday now. "All set?" says Uncle Willie, bright and early Monday morning. "All set." Mom kisses me goodbye and tells us both to keep out of trouble. Soup kitchen is not too far from where I live, but it feels like a long way. We pass my school, we pass the supermarket, the drugstore, the bakery, even the laundry. When we get to Mr. Anthony's meat market, I'm dragging my feet. Well, let's stop and see if Mr. Anthony has anything for us today. "Hello already," Uncle Willie hollers. "Hello yourself," Mr. Anthony says. "I've got something special today." He comes out from the back and hands Uncle Willie a lumpy brown bag. "Chicken for the soup." "Food for a feast," says Uncle Willie. The door closes and I wave goodbye through the front window. When we turn the corner, Uncle Willie points to a small brick building. Looks old and kind of run down from the outside. "Here we are." Woman opens the big white door. "Good morning, Shanta," says Uncle Willie. "A very good morning," says Shanta, smiling. "See, you brought a helper today." I shake Shanta's hand and follow Uncle Willie inside. The soup kitchen is small, but it's bright. 4 huge soup pots steaming on the stove make the whole place smell delicious. "Look," I say, "lunchroom tables, just like my school." What's that high chair doing there? Uncle Willie takes my bag, puts it down on the table. Little children come here too. Now let me introduce you all around. So I meet a cat. Over there is Brother Mike. That's great. Thanks for picking up the chickens, he says. A man at the double sink washing a big silver bowl. This is George, Uncle Willie says. If it wasn't for George, we'd all be in hot water. Uncle Willie ties an apron on and helps me tie one too. Now let's get to work already. So I watch Uncle Willie chopping the vegetables. He smiles at me, jiggles a carrot. Perfect. Uncle Willie hoots and finishes off the string beans. And Shanta asks me, will you help me sort the fruits and vegetables? The market gave us so much fruit that we could make a salad today. While Shanta slices, I mix the fruit with a big wooden spoon. Everything comes extra big around here. George says he wouldn't mind one bit if he had some extra help, so I put one big bowl of peanuts, one plate of sliced cheese, one big dish of butter, 2 baskets of bread on every lunchroom table. Brother Mike gives every pot one more stir and says, break time, help yourself to a bowl of soup. Chicken and vegetable, I say, my favorite. I looked around at all the empty chairs. What if there's not enough soup? Uncle Willie waves his hand. It's just like magic, he says. He tells me. There's always a little bit more. And pulls something out of his pocket. This little clicker will count how many people came today so we can make enough food for tomorrow. When I'm finished, I peek outside and see a long line of people. I used to be out there on those lines, said George, but now I'm in here helping. Are all those people homeless? I whispered to Uncle Willie. And George, too? Uncle Willie leans closer and says, well, George rents a room in a building nearby, but some people have no place to live. If they're here, they're hungry, and we're just here to fill up their bowls. So Brother Mike ladles the steaming soup, places one on every tray. Shanta dishes out the fruit cups. When the first trays are ready, Uncle Willie yells out, lunchtime! And we let the big white door swing open. The first few people rush in. Uncle Willie says hello to just about everyone. How are you, Double Jim? He points to his belly and laughs. I'm twice as hungry and 2 times as big, he says. There's so many people pushing in, I can't even see inside anymore. Some of the guests try to shake my hand, but I stand stiffly against the door. He's got a day off from school, announces Uncle Willie, keeping his hand on my shoulder. So he came by to see where I work. And there's Frank, the can man, I whisper. Hello, Frank, says Uncle Willie, showing him the boxes of fruits and vegetables. Help yourself, we have extras today. And in no time, the kitchen is full. And all of a sudden, everyone's talking at once. This soup is great, can I have seconds? You gave her more chicken than you gave me, but I was in line first. We need more bread on our table, please. We need more butter on ours. I watched the guests go in and out. First hungry, then full. Then hungry, then full. Come on in, says Uncle Willie. George is picking up the dirty dishes and carrying them back to the sink. A woman shuffles by, puts some bananas in her pockets. She looks a little bit like the woman I saw sleeping on the park bench, and I hope so. I hope she comes to eat here. It's not so lonely here. And before I know it, the line outside the soup kitchen is gone, and so is all the fruit. A few guests stay to help clean up, and I hold the dustpan while Double Jim sweeps a pile for me to scoop. When Uncle Willie and I are ready to leave, we shake hands with all the helpers. Brother Mike pushes open the front door and says, come again anytime. We can always use the extra help. Thanks again for the soup, I holler to everyone in back. On the way home, Uncle Willie shows me his counter. We fed 121 people today, he tells me. That's a lot of citizens. Then laughing, he picks up an empty can, hands it to me. I take the can, head for the trash. I turn, I fake, I jump, I shoot. Talk to me, says Uncle Willie. And he hoots as I score 2 more points for the basket. And that is the end. Now, I wonder if you remember how the boy seemed to feel about going to the soup kitchen at the start of the story. And I wonder if you noticed a change of attitude. I wonder what helped him feel more at ease about it all afterwards. And before I end, I encourage you to help serve a meal sometime at the Guest House. You You might feel nervous at first, like the boy in the story, but I'm pretty sure you'll get comfortable in no time. It's just about helping people. I'm also pretty sure that Eileen or Jim can tell you when we'll be going there next to the guest house to provide a meal. And thanks for listening. And Desmond, I believe, agreed to light our RE lantern over here. And I'll ask those going to RE classes to come forward and follow him out. As the rest of us join in singing. As you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go. As you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go, as you go.
So, this is the time in our service when we have the opportunity to share significant events, either of joy or concern, from our individual lives. When we share, either in writing or by speaking aloud, we build community and allow others to know us better and hold us in their thoughts and in their hearts. In a moment, you'll be invited to come to this mic to share aloud. What we share aloud is only for the ears of those gathered now, both in person and online. It will not be included in the posted video of the service. What you share in writing via the blue slip will be shared as you indicate in the e-news with our our lay pastoral care team, or just with Reverend Jill. So if you'd like to share aloud, come here to the candles, or if you wish to remain seated, an usher is standing ready to bring you a mic. I'll light a candle for you, and after each sharing, I invite you all to respond to me, "We hold you in love." Now, come to the candles. Okay, I'll light a candle for our viewers online. And then let's light one more candle for all of the joys and concerns that we hold in our hearts today. We hold you in love. Please join me now for a time of meditation. Sit comfortably in your chair. You might want to put both feet on the floor. Relax your neck and shoulders, your back, your arms and legs. Maybe close your eyes or soften your gaze and breathe slowly in and out. I'd like you to take a little time to reflect on what home means for you. As you do that, I'm going to read a series of quotes about home. You might recognize some of them. Thich Nhat Hanh said, "Every one of us needs a home. The world needs a home." There are so many young people who are homeless. They may have a building to live in, but they are homeless in their hearts. That is why the most important practice of our time is to give each person a home. The English writer Frederick W. Robertson said, "Home is the one place in all this world where hearts are sure of each other. It is the place of confidence. It is the place where we tear off that mask of guarded and suspicious coldness which the world forces us to wear in self-defense, and where we pour out the unreserved communications of full and confiding hearts. It is the spot where expressions of tenderness gush out without any sensation of awkwardness and without any dread of ridicule. The journalist John Ed Pierce said, "Home is a place you grow up wanting to leave and grow old wanting to get back to." Charles Dickens said, "Home is a name, a word. It is a strong one, stronger than magician ever spoke or spirit ever answered to in the strongest conjuration." Jane Austen said, "There is nothing like staying at home for real comfort." Michel de Montaigne said, "My home, it is my retreat and resting place from wars. I try to keep this corner as a haven against the tempest outside, as I do another corner in my soul." From Emily Dickinson, "Where thou art, that is home." Gaston Bachelard, the French philosopher, said, "If I were asked to name the chief benefit of the home, I should say, the home shelters daydreaming. The home protects the dreamer. The home allows one to dream in peace." The amazing Maya Angelou said, "The ache for home lives in all of us, the safe place where we can go as we are and not be questioned." Lastly, the sociologist Matthew Desmond, who wrote the book Evicted about the housing situation in Milwaukee, wrote, "The home is the center of life. It is a refuge from the grind of work, the pressure of school, and the menace of the streets. We say that at home we can be ourselves. Everywhere else, we are someone else. At home, we remove our masks. The home is the wellspring of personhood. It is where our identity takes root and blossoms, where as children we imagine, play, and question, and as adolescents we retreat and try. As we grow older, we hope to settle into a place to raise a family or pursue work. When we try to understand ourselves, we often begin by considering the kind of home in which we were raised."
Good morning. Our reading this morning is an excerpt from Dignity and Potential, Shifting the Narrative on Homelessness by Paul Asplund. The prevailing narrative often portrays the unhoused as helpless victims or societal burdens, focusing on their deficits and challenges rather than their inherent worth and capabilities. But a transformative shift is underway, led by advocates and community leaders who are challenging us to see the humanity, resilience, and potential in every person experiencing homelessness. This shift in perspective asks us to recognize the strengths and assets that exist within even the most marginalized among us. It means looking beyond circumstances to see the whole person, their skills, their experiences, their hopes and dreams. It means acknowledging that homelessness is a condition, not a character trait, and that every individual has the capacity for growth and change. When we view homelessness through this lens, it fundamentally changes how we approach the crisis. Instead of simply managing the problem with short-term fixes, we start investing in long-term solutions that empower people to rebuild their lives.
Good morning. As Eileen mentioned, my name is Christine Jacobs. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. Thank you, Eileen, for the invitation. Thank you for your more than 30 years of service, bringing a meal to Guest House, and all of you, I know a lot of you are involved in that as well, so thank you so much. I'm here to tell you about Guest House and what we do and why we do it and how we do it. So we started in January of 1982, so we just hit 43 years of service. Our mission is to provide shelter, housing, education, and other services to Milwaukee's homeless who seek to transform their lives with dignity and purpose. We have four kind of main programs I'm going to talk about. The first is our shelter program. So our main shelter is located on 13th Street between Juneau and McKinley, so just on the other side of the freeway from Fiserv Forum. We house up to 86 men regularly in that shelter. 12 of those beds are veterans. 22 beds are for a new program we just started called Elder Justice. We're finding that a lot of the homeless men are ages 60 and up, and so this is going to be a special program just for them. They're going to get special nursing care and things like that that they need. And then the remaining 52 beds in that shelter are for our general program. In addition, though, during the warming center months, which runs from November 21st through March 31st, we can house an additional 44 men, and that is a first-come, first-served, just 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., get off the street for the night, get out of the cold. So during that time, we're serving about 130 men in our main shelter building. In addition to that, we have a shelter that serves up to 5 adults identifying LGBTQ, and then we have a shelter on the south side, serves up to 26 men and women. It is a different shelter setting, so you might have your own room, but you might share a bathroom. That is set up for those that maybe have mental or physical disabilities that don't do well in a more congregate shelter setting. So like those 52 beds, that's one big open room, kind of similar to this size. And so some people don't do well in that kind of setting, so that shelter is for them. So those are our shelter programs. In addition to that, we have housing programs. So we touch the lease on about 400 apartment units throughout the city of Milwaukee. Various situations there. So some people cannot get a lease in their own name because they've been evicted. So in those situations, we have the lease held in our name, and they pay the rent. Other cases, they can get a lease in their own name, but they might need help with security deposit or a couple months rent, something like that. We help them with that then. So those housing units are available not just for those graduating out of shelter, but really anybody in the city of Milwaukee that needs housing. So we are the largest provider of public housing in the city of Milwaukee, largest nonprofit provider. In addition to shelter and housing, we also have a strong case management program. So anyone in any of our programs, whether they're in shelter or in those housing units, have a case manager assigned to them. That is somebody who can sit down and walk them through getting them the resources that they need. When you're out on the street, you're constantly in fight or flight. So a lot of us maybe have long-term goals. Maybe we're thinking about a vacation this summer, or we're thinking about something we want to do in the future. When you're out on the street, you're thinking about the next 12 to 24 hours and just how can you get through. So there's no such thing as long-term planning, setting goals. But that case manager, and once they come in and they get their basic needs met, they sit down with them and say, okay, what would you like to see? What would you like to do? How can we help you get there? So those case managers are really important for the success of the program. And then finally, I want to mention our mental health clinic. So we're the only shelter in the city of Milwaukee that has a mental health clinic right on site in our shelter. It's available for those guests as soon as they come in the door. They're welcome to meet with a counselor immediately. We do have a psychiatrist on staff, can handle any medication management they might need. So 3 key factors in homelessness are mental health issues, drug addiction, and lack of affordable housing. Usually a combination of 2 or all 3 of those things. So mental health clinic is a huge part of what we do, very important. So that's a little bit about what we do. I'll answer some kind of frequently asked questions. So usually people will ask about how long of a stay is it. So emergency shelter is generally about a 90-day stay, so about 3 months. It doesn't mean that at 90 days they're just put back out on the street. That means that around 90 days, hopefully we've got them in a better situation, a more stable housing situation. If not, they can certainly stay longer. Some end up hitting that goal a little bit sooner, and they're out on their own sooner than that. So 90 days is about average. Now, I will mention veterans, it's a little bit different. We have different funding and programs for them. So that stay is about 1 to 2 years, a little bit longer for them. I will mention, too, ways you can get involved. So as you already do, provide a meal for our guests. So that meal can be up to 86 men. We do provide a hot meal for them every night. Breakfast, we'll put out whatever's been donated, so fruit, yogurt, things like that, continental style. Lunch, they can grab a sandwich. We do have some microwavable meal trays we'll put out for them. But dinner, we try to provide that hot meal every night. And so through churches like yours, I also have some individuals that cook, some families that come in. I have some restaurants that donate meals. We try to make sure that they're fed every night of the year. We do have a kitchen assistant that works during the week, so if there's a night of meals not coming in, she will put something together to make sure that they get fed. I will mention also our community sandwich window. So in our main shelter building, we have a window that anybody in the community, if they're hungry, can stop by, ask for something to eat. We give them sandwiches through that window. We go through about 300 to 400 sandwiches a day. So it's a big need that we're meeting in the community. That is all volunteer and donation based, just like our meal program. We don't have a budget for that. So people can either make sandwiches off-site and drop them off, or they can come and make them on-site. We provide a tour while they're there. We provide tours all the time, so if any of you would like to ever come down and get a tour, please let me know. I would love to give you one. But that is another area, so making sandwiches is another area where you can volunteer. We also have a community garden across our street. So we are located in a food desert, so no grocery stores at all in our entire zip code or the zip code next to us. And so they really don't have access to fresh produce. It's just gas stations and convenience stores, so prepackaged, unhealthy, expensive food. So to combat that, we just grow the fresh produce right in the middle of the neighborhood. Anybody walking by is welcome to take whatever they see, whatever they'd like. We see people all the time out there with grocery bags taking tomatoes, onions, peppers, whatever's been growing. They're welcome to take those. And we will use some of the produce for at least one of the meals for the guys in shelter. And then we do also share that produce with other organizations in town. If we have a harvest of something that's coming in and we just simply cannot use it all at once, we will donate to the Fondy Food Market, where they can use state government food benefits there at the food market. We also donate to Trickle Bee Cafe, which is a pay-as-you-can cafe in the Sherman Park neighborhood. She has a meal most days of the week. She has a suggested price, but if you cannot pay, you can still eat. So she takes donations as well, so a lot of times we'll take produce to her as well. So community garden is a big place for volunteerism as well. Volunteers help us all summer long with weeding and watering and harvesting, planting. So if that's something you're interested in, that's another area. And then finally, sorting and organizing donations as they come in. We do accept gently used clothing for men, winter coats for men and women and children. And so a lot of times we just need help kind of sorting and organizing those donations that come in. We are open 24/7, 365, so our shelter is always open. Our shelter staff is overseeing our shelter guests, making sure that they have everything that they need. And so whenever convenient for you, you can drop things off. Staff is always there and ready to take things in. The way that people get into shelter is through 211. So in the city of Milwaukee, just as you would call 911 in an emergency, if somebody needs any kind of resources, they can call 211. It is a coordinated entry system, meaning that 211 knows of all the different openings in the shelters in town. They place people where they need to go. So based on their needs, based on the shelter's strategy, they get placed into those shelters. That helps avoid a line of people outside trying to get in. I will mention during the warming center months, though, we do have a line just because that program is first come, first serve. We do get guys lining up for that as well. In the real bitter cold, we will let them come in earlier, just making sure they get out of the cold. But that's another question I get. Anybody have any other questions? I mentioned we do serve with dignity and respect, so everyone who comes in our doors is treated with dignity and respect in every single way. As I mentioned, they get a case manager. All the staff is there to help with any resources that they need. We get a lot of people that come in and do various classes. I have a life skills class. I have a class, variety of classes such as resume writing, doing interviews, things like that. We have Bible studies. People come in and do that. So a variety of things that volunteers will come in and do. Medical college helps us with eye screenings, providing free eyeglasses, and a variety of things like that as well. So can I open it up to questions? Does anybody have any questions? Yes?
Are there any
So, our building is a secure building, so it is only for those that are actually in our programs. But yes, they have access to showers. They get clean clothes as soon as they come in. And then, but we do also have a good relationship with Street Angels. Street Angels actually has a mobile shower unit. And so they will come to our facility, and people can come on and take a shower while they're there as well. So that's another thing that's, if they're not necessarily in our program, they can still take advantage of that. We do have laundry facilities, both laundry facilities for our shelter, but then also laundry facilities for our guests. And so people, when they come in, they do their own laundry. They have chores while they're there. So, to kind of learn some of those life skills. That laundry facility is also open to those in our housing unit. So if they don't have access to laundry facilities, they can come in, sign up with their case manager, and use ours as well. We provide all the laundry soap, anything they might need, but they're able to use that as well. Did that answer your question? Okay, great. Anybody else? Yes?
Lisa.
Just curious, do you know how many folks end up staying out in the community and not needing to come back? I'm just wondering what the success rate in
Yes.
helping them be able to find their way is.
Yeah, so our statistics are after a year. So after a year, we have about an 80% success rate. So they do not return. We do have some that do return, but after a year, about 80% continue in there. Yes. And that case manager continues. So that case manager, they're assigned in the shelter. Then once they move into housing, they are given a case manager that helps with the housing programs. So that can continue as long as they're continuing in our program. They get that case manager access. So I think that is part of the key to success. Yes.
Are your guests subject to proselytizing? I know there are some other places like yours that do that.
No, so we are a public, we receive a lot of public funding. So if anyone does come in and do a Bible study or anything like that, it is optional for our guests. It is held in a different room, and they can choose whether or not to take part in that. Anything else? Yes.
I know there's a shift in the emphasis. It used to be, that people were, the progression was get a job and then get a house. And now there's this, maybe it's not so newer idea of housing first. And that, it sounds like that's what your focus is?
Yes.
Okay. So then, how do people get, I'm not, having trouble figuring out how to ask the question.
I think I know what you're asking.
Okay.
And I'll answer, and then let me know if I didn't hit the mark. Okay. So, yes, we follow the housing first philosophy. So we want people in housing first. There are a couple of aspects of that. First of all, just with our shelter, so years ago, people had to get drug tested before they came in, got drug tested every couple of days to stay. We don't do that anymore. If you think about it, if you're out on the street, how can you even start to get clean? So this way, we house you first, and then we'll start to work on those recovery issues. So it made a huge difference on getting people off the street. Secondly, yes, housing first, we want to get them into safe and stable housing. That's our main goal. For some, that is getting a job and some source of income before they move out. For others, it might be just getting them connected to the resources that they need. And that's what the case manager does to make sure that they have that ability to stay in that safe and stable housing. It's not just a matter of getting them out and, hey, you're on your own, good luck. It's a matter of making sure they get access to those resources and whatever is the case they need to continue that success in that housing. Did that do it, that answer?
Yes,
Okay.
it does. I was thinking, how do they make that transition where they're able to be on their own and pay rent, but they're in there, they're with you for a pretty extended period of time. So a lot
Right.
can happen to get those things in place.
Sure,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's great.
Yeah.
80% is pretty impressive.
It is,
That's
yeah. It was
wonderful.
higher before COVID, but obviously COVID, made a big difference and just lots of, lots
Yeah.
of things, so. But yeah, any other questions? Yes? I think so.
Hi. I was wondering about if people have a criminal background or just getting out of jail. Is that a consideration?
So we are, I think what we're considered is the lowest barrier shelter in town. So there's really not a lot of requirements that they have to meet. They basically have to self-care, unless they're in that elder justice program. Otherwise, we don't provide any nursing care or anything like that. So they have to self-care, but that's pretty much it. So we do have guests in our facility that have had, time in the prison or, different issues with law enforcement, things like that. That's not a factor when it comes to providing shelter for them.
Wonderful.
There's one. Oh, one over there and one over there.
What kind of safety measures are put in place for the people who are sleeping in the large room? I've heard of stories about rape and theft going on in situations like that. So how do you avoid those things happening?
Yes, so our staff is trained in all sorts of things, crisis management, crisis de-escalation, conflict management, things like that. They are doing rounds regularly in the dorms. They do all have a locked locker at the end of their bed that they can keep their personal belongings in. Honestly, not a lot of them lock them, just because it is a very trustworthy space for them to be in. I think a lot of them are thankful for what they're, like I said, they get housing, they get warm meals, so they're very thankful to be there. It doesn't seem to be as much of a problem in our facility. Certainly things happen. They are given, several chances if there's something that happens. Obviously, there's certain things if they do, they're not, that's your one strike and you're out kind of thing, but usually they're given chances. And our staff is great about handling things, being on top of things, being there right when things happen, so. Yeah. I think there's one over here, and one there too. And Eileen, let me know if we need to wrap it up. Okay. Okay, a couple more, all right.
Hi, thank you for this information. I think our community has been very concerned about the ramping up of deportations that are taking place, and especially since Milwaukee is considered one of the international boundaries due to Lake Michigan. Just curious to hear your reflections on whether there is concern about the guest house becoming a place that could attract ICE officials. Is there a tension there? What's going on?
Sure, thank you for bringing that up. We just talked about it at our staff meeting on Thursday. At this time, we are kind of just waiting to see what happens. We are, obviously, we are a secure facility. Police cannot just enter, they have to have, just like you would at your own home, they have to have a reason for coming. Same thing with ICE, we're looking at all of those, requirements and what they would need to have and things like that. So it's something that we're looking at, yeah, and we're going to be addressing. I don't have the exact details, but yes. Yeah.
We
Okay,
appreciate
there's
you.
one here and then one here.
Thanks so much for the work you
yes.
do. I was wondering, you have services for women too? Is it?
So our main shelter is men. We do have some women in those, in that one shelter I mentioned, then also in our housing units as well.
Oh, great. I was on your website. It's really impressive. Do you have a minimum age for volunteering?
Oh, for volunteering? No, we do not. And so as long as they are with their parent and guardian at all times, as long as they're able to follow all safety, like so if you're in the kitchen and you're serving a meal, you have to just make sure they're following all kitchen safety so they're not touching their mouth and their nose while they're going to serve food, things like that, but no minimum age.
Just wondering how you handle AODA issues, alcohol and other drug.
So we have AODA counselors on staff, and yes, as I mentioned, we do housing first, so if they come in intoxicated, they can still come in. Obviously, they cannot have anything on their person when they come in, and if they're caught with anything, that is a problem. But no, we have counselors on staff ready to help them. We do actually have AA meetings starting this week as well, and those will go weekly as well, so it's something available also. So individual counselors, but then also group programs as well. I think we have one more. Okay, one more in the back, and then I think we'll finish up.
How many shelters are there in Milwaukee and the suburbs?
In the city of Milwaukee, there are 4 or 5. Most are in that coordinated entry system. There is one shelter that is a direct admit, and so they're not in that system. But there are 4 or 5 shelters, yes. Some of them are only women, some of them are men, some of them are families. One shelter I know of for sure, you can bring pets in as well. So if you have a pet, it's your family members, right? So there is a shelter that can take pets as well. We've looked into that, just haven't been able to do that at this point, but we've looked into that as well, so. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time again. Thank you for allowing me to be here. Thanks for the invitation, Eileen. I will be around for a little while afterwards. If anybody had any further questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christine, although you can't see me, for your message and all of that information. Great dialogue, great exchange. We're obviously a caring community here. That's pretty clear. So, each month, we dedicate half of all undesignated offerings to a local nonprofit organization that addresses human needs and advances social justice within our community. Our Split the Plate partner for February is Hope Center, a nonprofit reducing poverty in Waukesha County by providing financial aid, food, and clothing. At any given time, some 20,000 people in this affluent area are living at or near the poverty line. Hope's purpose is to offer immediate assistance while looking for ways to help people find a path to a new, stable future. Here is a brief video created by volunteers at the Hope Center offering insight to the sometimes hidden needs of this community.
Well, if someone were looking for an organization to sponsor or to donate to, I'd encourage them to come and see what the Hope Center does for the people in our community. It's a great service for people who, through no fault of their own, might not be able to provide everything for their families or for themselves. And the Hope Center steps up and does that in our community.
People need to realize that Waukesha County struggles just as any other community or area may or may not. Sometimes people stand outside of Waukesha and think nothing's going on in the community where it is highly needed. And I think that people that look to sponsor needs to know that our community definitely needs their support.
Hope Center's mission is a model of clarity, reducing the risks of poverty by helping people in Waukesha County meet basic needs. To join in, you can give an offering to the provided basket, or you can go to the UUCW website, Donate tab, and select Split the Plate, or you can text or mail your donation using the information found here. We thank you most sincerely for your support, and we will now gratefully receive your offering.
Please join me in the dedication of our offering. The words are found in your order of service. To the work of this community, which is to ground ourselves in love and joy, and to act for inclusion and justice, we dedicate ourselves, and these are offerings. Now, if you'd please rise again in body or in spirit to join us in singing hymn 1064, Blue Boat Home. That's 1064.
Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun my sail and moon my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue home.
Two quick things. One is, apparently my granddaughter's watching online. Hi, Eloise. Apparently she's clapping for Grandma. So, secondly, let me just say that we have, of course, been working, as Christine said, with Guest House for many, many decades. And our next turn to serve a meal will be coming up on March 15th. If you're not familiar with how the program works, I usually send out some sign-up information about 3 weeks beforehand, and we just ask you to sign up to provide some food and perhaps to help serve. So you can see me in the community room afterwards if you're curious about how our connection to Guest House works. Also, we've had lots of people volunteer over the years. The community garden that Christine mentioned, we had some people really help to set that up as well. So there are lots of ways to get involved. All right, so our closing words are from Andrea Hawkins Camper, Be About the Work. May we see all as it is, and may it all be as we see it. May we be the ones to make it as it should be. For if not us, who? If not now, when? This is answering the cry of justice with the work of peace. This is redeeming the pain of history with the grace of wisdom. This is the work we are called to do, and this is the call we answer now. To be the barrier and the bridge, to be the living embodiment of our principles, to be about the work of building beloved community, to be a people of intention and a people of conscience. May it be so, yes.